Roll for Crit is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Come roll with us at patreon.com/rollforcrit.
Hello, and welcome to our rarely occurring Roll for Crit book club, where today we will be discussing Gloomhaven Fallen Lion from Source Point Press. This is a one-shot comic based on the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion board game.
The story takes place in the aftermath of a failed mission on the part of the band of mercenaries, the Jaws of the Lion, as they are having their drinks, recovering in a tavern, talking about what happened and what went wrong. Meanwhile, from outside the tavern, you see from the perspective of a vermling, a mind thief, who is a former member of the Jaws of the Lion and has been for some reason coerced into causing the failure of their last mission, and they are talking about what's going on inside the tavern with a mysterious companion who you get some sinister vibes from, and you find out as you read the comic exactly what went on and what happened. This is a 24-page one-shot comic, so right now there are no plans as far as we know for future issues. It's a one-and-done storyline, again based on the characters and things from Jaws of the Lion specifically, but not really any specific scenario or story, more taking influence from a lot of different aspects of it. And this is the first, not the first board game adapted comic to exist, but certainly one of the first. There aren't many. It is the first time I believe there's been any Gloomhaven-based media outside of the games themselves. So that in and of itself is pretty interesting. What did you think, Will, of the overall of the storyline, the art, or whatever? What were your general impressions of Fallen Lion?
This one, I gotta say, very invested in, because even though it's a one-shot, I really did fall in love with the Verminling. I mean, usually, Verminlings are pretty much the goblins of this world. Mm-hmm. More often than not, they're the cannon fodder. And this one, I didn't feel like, when usually a goblin becomes named and important in media, they're a slapstick. They're like a joke. Like, this character, she did not feel like a joke at all. In fact, like, you can see her struggling with the moral choices she had to deal with. And even, like, this is a small detail, but something for me I just thought was adorable. To make her stand out is not just like another vermling. She has like a little ribbon on her tail.
I think it's vermling, by the way.
Sorry, vermling. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the fact that they made her just not like, because also with the usually something like goblins, they don't speak like in complete sentences or anything. She was fully, speaking correctly, and unlike me, and and you understand where she is coming from.
Yeah, I think all the characters, I definitely got a Guardians of the Galaxy type of vibe from this gang. I thought it was maybe not quite that level of humor from the movies, but that sort of quirky, mismatched characters brought together to form a gang.
Definitely with the actual Jaws, the characters that you play as.
Yeah, and one of my favorites is the demolitionist in this comic, who, for some reason, I don't know why, but I like the choice, they speak in rhyme always. And I thought that was really fun. There are some well-written, clever rhyming passages. Some people I could see finding that irritating, but I thought it was cute and clever. The first half of the comic, maybe, and it's not a very long comic, I was a little bit slightly confused at parts, because a lot of it is told in flashback, and it did take me a few pages to get into the groove of like which character is which, because this isn't like, they don't have any kind of a section that says, if you're new to Gloomhaven, like, here's the world of Gloomhaven and what goes on in it. You're put right into it. It's like, here's these characters. You're being introduced to a lot of new elements. Even if you've played the games, you don't specifically like know these names necessarily or what they've been through. So it is a little bit, it kind of puts you into it head first. But I think it actually rewards reading it a couple of times for that reason. Once I kind of got past that and understood what was going on, got myself grounded a little bit. I thought the story was really cool, and by the end of it, it does end on, it's not fully resolved. It certainly leaves the door open for where there could be more issues in the future. I would definitely be down to read the continuing storyline of this adventure.
I agree. Like I said, I fell in love with the character. I can see following her instead of the rest of the Lions to find out what happens with to her character. And a lot of the things you mentioned before, I think, were problems that happened with making a one shot. We don't find out because if you play Jaws of the Lion, you have those four characters. There's no Vermling for you to play as. So you see them like, wait, she's a part of the group. Like it's a little confusing at first if you played the game, and as you said, if you don't know anything about Gloomhaven, then you're like, what's going on exactly? But
Right.
there are, by the way, plenty of references to both Jaws and Base Gloom that we won't get into because that they're good enough to be considered spoilers at the very least, if not a nod. But
Mhm.
overall, it does feel like it's like the way it ends is either very in my end very sad because it's like if this is not supposed to continue, you know what it means, or I'm hoping if it does well enough, then they'll continue more, in which I think they could do some more cool stuff with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to imagine there's at least the possibility that if this is a big success, that they will make more issues available in the future, continue the storyline. The art, I think, is pretty good overall. Nothing like spectacular. There's like one or two full page splash pictures that are pretty awesome, I thought.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there's one in particular that I think is just perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, especially for you who's played the Vermling in regular Gloomhaven. I feel like that's what I imagine you feel like if you were going like full role playing as that.
Yeah, I like that, and I played the Demolitionist, so this comic really spoke to me for those characters, and it also gave me kind of an interesting perspective in that it's not like a gory comic, but it doesn't shy away. There's some blood and stuff in the fight scenes, and it made me kind of recontextualize when we're playing Gloomhaven. It's just I move there, I attack, I play a card, and reading the comic, it's like they're just stabbing and murdering everybody they come across. Like they really are mercenaries. My characters they're kind of psychopaths in the game. They're very violent. So this is interesting, putting that like fantasy gameplay in context and perspective of actually showing you what's happening. But it was cool. I mean, it was fun to see that world brought to life in a different kind of way. So I did enjoy it overall. Not like I don't think it's anything spectacular, but I think if they did continue this line on, I would definitely read it. There is potential to have some interesting storylines there. There's enough richness to this world and all the different weird creatures and races and things that I really like that I would like to see them do in a comic.
And for me as well, I also wanted once again it shows one of the reasons why I like Jaws more than regular Gloom is the fact that yes, you can role play in Gloomhaven whatever characters you have. I liked having those established characters to have like you have the Demolitionists who in the game remember you met a friend who took us on a mission to blow up a haunted house. They feel so much more interesting and they even poke some jokes at the fact like the Void Walker I think is the class name in essence the healer. It goes, why is it always cultists?
Right.
Which is great because if you play Gloomhaven, you know you're going to come across cultists.
No, pretty funny stuff. So you can pick up the Fallen Lion one shot for $3.99, standard comic price. They also have a couple of variant covers that are pretty cool. I kind of like all of them. I know you thought one of them looked really cool, right?
Yeah, the one that we kept in nice little plastic here that you may want.
If you are watching this video at the time of release, then you are in luck, as we are, in fact, giving away one copy of this variant edition cover of the Gloomhaven Fallen Lion comic. If you subscribe to our channel and leave a comment down below on this video, we want to hear from you who your favorite Gloomhaven class is that you would like to see represented more in future comics if they exist. Write down any one of those classes that you really like to play as and or you think would be a lot of fun to see depicted or have a story told about them in the comics. And 1 week from today, we will randomly choose a winner to be sent out one copy of this variant edition comic.
I'm excited to see what people put because even if it appeared in the comic already, if you want to see more from them, I think that still would be interesting. Even the Jaws of the Lions characters, I think each of them could easily be fleshed out more.
Yeah, so talk to us in those comments. Try to win a copy. Very exciting. Or if you just can't wait, you can rush out and buy the regular edition or the variants, which are available right now for purchase. And let us know also if you have had the chance to read one yourself. What did you think about it? And what would you like to see in general for future Gloomhaven comics, or maybe some other game you think would make a good comic book? You can let us know down there. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And you've been watching Roll for Crit.
Get an inspiration token by supporting us on Patreon and liking and subscribing to this channel.
If you support us on Patreon, you'll get access to our audio expansion podcast. It's so good.